Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to LWP Podcast. So, as you are all aware, tonight I've got the Lion himself joining me. So, there's no need for any massive introductions when it comes to this one. Let's just get him in there, shall we? Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Gemma, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Living the dream, mate. Living the dream.
Oh, living the dream. So, how are you? What you been up to?
Today, not a lot. It's been a bit of a chilled out day today, to be honest with you. But other than that, it's just, we just had the April tour, which was on. So that was a busy, short period, like, you know what I mean? That was brilliant,
I
as you
was going
know.
to go on to that a bit later, but you've already touched upon it, so we may as well just go straight in with it. So, the April tour,
Mm,
see LWP at Fantasy Island for the first time.
mm, brilliant.
What a show it was.
Absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? It lived up straight away to its expectations. It was, we knew it was going to be good, but obviously we being the first and the start of season, it was a little bit like, it might start off slow sort of thing like some of them do, but no, as soon as we opened the doors, it were jam packed and they weren't allowed any more people in. So yeah, that was a massive success for the very first one. And I can't wait for the next one there, to be honest.
No, I know. I was thinking that actually, because it seems like such a long break actually from the April tour to now,
Mm.
to the May tour coming. It just seems like forever.
I know, right? Tell me about it. It's
Yeah,
only
I don't
it's
like it.
what, it's 2 weeks, isn't it? But them 2 weeks do drag when you just want to get stuck in the centre of it all. But we're almost there, and I look forward to it.
I know, me too. Right, so let's delve into Aaron, shall we?
Go on
So,
then.
your love for wrestling started at a young age.
Yeah,
6?
6 years old.
Well, your dad says, I love your dad, by the way. Your dad says that it was actually younger. Your dad says that you was wrestling with your sister's Teddy from a younger age than 6.
Yeah, but I was battling it, but I don't think I was into wrestling then. I believe I was a bit of a Ninja Turtle, like, you know what I mean? So I probably was kicking the crap out of a Teddy, but I think I started doing leg drops on it from the age of 6, but before then it was all like samurai swords and all that, make believe ones, not real, obviously, but
That'd be
but
concerning.
yeah, I've always been into some sort of fighting one way or the other. Whether all kids was, weren't they? From Ninja Turtles to Power Rangers to wrestling to and so on. So yeah, that was my first ever opponent was a teddy bear, and I lost.
So, what was it about wrestling that had you hooked from the age of 6?
So I was 6 years old. My mum was a barmaid. She used to run pubs and stuff. So I used to go along with her sometimes, and I got to know all the customers. I was Gene's kid. You know what I mean? So they all used to spoil me what and chuck me fivers here and there and say go on the machines and whatever. Yeah. And one day I was at home, just come back from school. My mum was at work, and then she came back with a video VHS, which a lot of people won't understand what that is these days. I am
No.
feeling a little bit more than that, but and then I stuck it in, put it on, and then for the first time I watched wrestling. Um, and I think it was something like Survivor Series 91 or something like that, 1990, and Hulk Hogan was on it. Of course, everybody knows who Hulk Hogan is, and if you don't, you should. You know what I mean? And he was on it, Ultimate Warrior and all them, and it was just like for the first time I was watching all these guys larger than life, multiple, characters, all different kinds, stuff, just going to the ring, battling out, and it was the reception they was getting from the crowds as well. They all just literally took to two guys in the ring delivering, and I was just like, wow, this is awesome. You know what I mean? And then that's how it started pretty much, and then I just got hooked on from there on, and then I kept borrowing more videos and stuff like that, and before I know it, I was staying up late and watching all the shows and stuff, and then I was going to school and getting into trouble for doing it, and it just escalated from there.
So, in the documentary,
Mm.
because it's all over social media at the minute, isn't it? The Heart of a Lion, the documentary that you did. So in that documentary, one of your friends actually says that you got bullied at school.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So getting right into it now, aren't we?
Really did
So
stick the teeth right in now, aren't you?
I know, right? You didn't think it was going to be an easy ride, did you?
No, not with you, definitely not.
So with the bullying, like, because everybody will have experienced bullying in some way, shape, or form. So with that at a young age as well, how did you handle that?
So I mean, bullying really. When you say bullying, I mean there's all forms of it, in it, all different types of bullying. I was a big kid. Don't get me wrong. I was a big kid, meaning I was chubby. You know what I mean? And so obviously it started just with a name calling. To be honest with you, that didn't really bother me much. It did at little times, but it never really bothered me. It was only when I went to high school when I used to get punched around and that. I'll tell you what, I remember it's in my upcoming book actually. There's a guy called Gary, and he used to knock me about at school and rip my clothes and my school bags and stuff like that. And I took it. I never, like, unlike some of my friends at the time, and I used to have some pretty cool mates, to be fair, but they was quite handy. But at the time, I just used to take it. I never had that confidence to fight back, if you know what I mean. And then, well, that started, that lasted like that for quite some time, a good few years, to be fair. It wasn't until I started getting in my 15, 16, early teens when I started actually realizing that my jaw wasn't made of glass. And then I started, getting a bit brave through the occasional punch. And then before I knew it, realized I wasn't as wimpish as I thought I might have been. And yeah, and then it sort of just escalated a bit. But yeah, I did. I got bullied. I'm not ashamed of it. It is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? A lot of kids do. But when I say I did, a lot of people's like, "What, you did?" I'm like, "Yeah,
People don't expect it, and that's exactly what it is, because we see you now. We see you as the lion, and you are. I mean, I've touched those muscles. It's like
Tiny, aren't
it's
they?"
the what? Tiny, yeah, ridiculously small, mate. Like, I think you need to get back in the gym. No, in all seriousness, like, you are solid. So I think it's really difficult to imagine you as a chunky kid.
A lot of hard work in the gym, and being consistent with meals and stuff. I'm actually on a bit of a break at the minute, believe it or not. So I'm not as toned, as you put it, as I can normally be. But I soon get back in the swing of it. And but yeah, it's. I think what it is, you know what I mean. When you spend a lot of time being bullied as a kid for being a certain way, it'll either send you one way or the other. But for me, it's sort of, I'm not ashamed to say this. I think it mentally stuck in my head. So I always had to be, by the time I got into my late teenage years, I always had to be like bang on it and stuff like that. And then obviously I was getting compliments, and before I knew it, it was just a way of life. You know what I mean? I started to enjoy it that much, and then I tried bodybuilding and stuff, and then yeah, I just enjoyed the fitness side of it and stuff, and it's always kept me fit. And as you know, when you do professional wrestling, now it's good to kind of look a certain way and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just always kept me focused, really kept me motivated. So.
And the diet side of it as well. I mean, obviously, I spoke to Charlie not long ago, and he's on it with his diet, completely on it all the time. And you're pretty much the same, aren't you? You'll have the odd day where you'll have, I don't know, if you're off out, say you're off out for a meal or something, then you'll eat what you want. But as a rule, you are fully on it with your diet.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah. Charlie, I'll say about Charlie, he's done very well. He just competed the other day. I think he came second in a massive competition, to be fair. And, to go at that level that he went in to even come in the top three is special. You know what I mean? I take my hat off to him. I've always liked Charlie, believe it or not, regardless of what, we say to each other and we're egging each other on and that. Of course, there's that competitive side between the two of us. There's going to be. You know what I mean? But I do respect him. I respect him a lot. And especially what he does. I understand what he goes through. And the guy's, you know, he deserves every reward he reaps in, to be fair, because he's so
He works
dedicated.
hard. He definitely works hard. I'll give him that. He definitely puts the hours in, but then so do you.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Which
what
you know, go on.
what does your gym workout look like? What does an average day in the gym look like for you?
Right, so I usually train every other day. So I always have a day off. Well, no, I don't actually. I tell a lie. That's a lie. So from one day to the next, I'll get up and I'll do cardio first thing in the morning for an hour. I'll go for a run. That's just after a shot of black coffee. So I have a good strong shot of black coffee. I go for a run for an hour. And then later on, I'll go for another run. I'll just keep myself active. And then say the following day, I'll get up and I'll go to the gym. Go for about 45 minutes, just go intense, put my headphones in, go really intense, work separate body parts throughout the week. And then I'll get home from the gym and then I'll probably go for another run a bit later on. So my cardio is constantly going, as well as, you know, weightlifting every other day, but cardio's all the time. I like to keep fit, you know what I mean? Especially the older I'm getting, ain't no spring chicken no more. So you know, to keep up with all these young 20-year-olds and that, it's getting a bit harder. So I need to put that bit more effort in. Maybe I can last a bit longer. But yeah,
I'm still
so
older
that's
than you, so watch with the old comments, will you?
yeah, but you look better than I do.
Well, obviously.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, literally, I can't believe that you do cardio for an hour. I hate cardio. I think it should be abolished. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. A lot
So
of people
hats off
don't
to
like
you.
it. Yeah, a lot of people
It's
don't. I love it personally. I just put my headphones on. I go in my own little world. Whether I'm on the treadmill or going a run, you know, along the beach and that, I get lost in my own mindset, and it's just it's my little escape from everything. You know what I mean? So for that 1 hour, I can just enjoy it. I enjoy it. Yeah.
no. I like weights. I love weight training. Can't stand cardio. So going back to your very, very early days, how old was you when you had your first public match?
First professional match, public.
Yeah.
17. 17 years old. I was about a month from turning 18. No. You know what? It was May the 31st, 2003. And I was 17 years old. I was just short of a month and a half of being 18 when I first had my first live professional. And that was at Butlins, you know, and Butlins was a really good crowd back in the day. And that was 4-star wrestling for Brian Dixon. And yeah, I kind of got chucked right in the deep end there. But yeah, I was blessed. I was blessed to get chucked in the position I was in from such a, you know, short space of time I've been training. But yeah,
Do you remember your
almost,
first match? Do you remember it like it was yesterday?
I can still feel it like it was yesterday. Yeah, I do.
Who
Yeah.
was your opponent?
Well, to be honest, my first ever appearance, it was only a rumble. But unlike today, you see a lot of promotions today, and they'll have these rumbles, and you get a lot of British guys and that, and you know, you get all these promotions with a lot of wrestlers, and you know, some of them look well, some of them aren't too big, tall, muscular things. But when I got chucked in, I was in the ring with a lot of guys from like the United States and from all over different countries. Some guys that ended up in the WWE, you know. So I was a 17-year-old kid, and I got chucked in with like 30 to 35, 40-year-old monsters. Like some of them, for example, I remember getting chucked in the ring. It's Brody Steele, who's, you know, I've grown to respect a lot. But at the time, I was only a scrawny little kid, and I'm being chucked in there with this almost 7 foot tall beast of a man who also did bodybuilding, you know, back in his time, and he was just a monster. And then I turn across the room, and he had a guy called Cowboy Mike Hughes, about the same height and that. And then you had all these like, you know, top class guys from all over the world coming into this rumble, and then this 17-year-old kid, and straight away I just got put in the corner. I got battered by everybody, and as much as it hurt, I enjoyed it at the same time, which is kind of strange, but it stung. Yeah, but you know, I came
Would
back.
you have changed anything from that first ever match?
No, no. I enjoyed it, and it's always a story to tell because, you know, to be honest with you, wrestling was a lot tougher back then. I mean, we're only talking 20 years, but there wasn't as many promotions about as there is today, and there wasn't that many training schools either. You know, to get in the likes of All Star as a kid, you know, 9 times out of 10, you either really had to know somebody who was already in there, which is how I got in. But you know, it was tougher. You know what I mean? It was a lot tougher than what it is now. You know, and I remember when I at the end of the match, I was battered. You know, I was bruised. I had bruises all over me, great big chop marks and all that. And I thought, wow, that really does hurt. You know, and but at the end of the day, I also remember the feeling of just coming out to the crowd, going through them ropes, even though I got the absolute shit kicked out of me. But it was just something, you know, for many years, just dreaming about something you want to do, and then you're just there, you're doing it, and it's like, wow, I'm doing this now, even though I am getting a kick in, but I'm still there. And yeah, I just remember sat there later on that night thinking, I can't wait to get back in there and get battered again.
And is that feeling still as strong today as it was when you first started?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You know, there's times where I've in my career where I've actually thought I'm not into this anymore. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. I'm not going to lie and say, you know, it's gone, you know, been completely roses all the way. But, you know, almost 20 years on, and yeah, I still feel like that. Yeah, I love it. You know, just lacing my boots up, still going out there, still performing. It's still magical feeling. You know what I mean? It's yeah, I don't think that ever leaves you. And sometimes I think you need a break. You do need a break. If you ever feel like this ain't for me no more, sometimes you might feel like that. But sometimes I just think just have a break and you might come back with that buzz again. And that's exactly what's happened to me in the past. So, you know,
I mean, what a lot of people won't see, because there's obviously not a lot of people backstage.
no.
All the fans are out front, but backstage, like as you know, I've been there lots of times when not just you, but everybody, you're all getting ready to go into the ring. You're all in your own little rooms. You're all getting ready. I'm popping my head in like, hiya. Not many people scare me, but when you're getting in your focus to enter that ring, you're quite scary.
Really?
I think so, yeah. I'm like, "Hi, Aaron," and you're just, like, in your own little world, and it's all, like, dead
You
serious
know
and stuff.
what? Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just in my own
Pacing.
little
You
bubble.
pace a lot before you go
Yeah,
into the ring, and it's like,
yeah, yeah. To be honest, so that's excitement. That's it's excitement, and you know, if you watch the way I work, I wrestle. I throw myself about a bit. You know what I mean? And like I say, it's just psyching myself up. I get in my mind. I get myself psyched up. As time gets closer towards walking out the curtain, obviously, yeah, crowds getting louder and louder, and it's just like, okay, now's my time. Now's my time. Okay, I'm 20 minutes or so, maybe shorter, maybe longer. I'm throwing myself about, and yeah, it's just my way of psyching up. I don't mean to be rude or anything. I'm just snapped in my bubble
I
right
don't
now.
think you're rude for 2 minutes, so don't even think that's what I was trying to say. I just think, like, you because you're so focused, and literally I've been stood in front of you, and you've not even seen that I'm there because you are just in that zone,
Mm,
and
mm.
it's quite intimidating.
Bless you. I'm a
Going
gentle
backstage
giant,
for
really.
you lot, I swear, honestly, it's like, "Oh, am I brave enough to go through there?" But no, you do, like, seeing you get into that focus, like, literally, you'll just switch, like, you'll know that you're on the next match or something, so then it's just like that flick, that no, that switch is flicked, and then
Mm,
you're zoned out. So how
yeah.
does it feel the minute you walk through that curtain or the door or however the setup is on that day? How does it feel to walk through and the crowd just go crazy?
Feels really good. You know, the moment we walk behind the curtain down the aisle to the ring, that is the time where we do interact with the crowds. You know what I mean? Where you're focused on them rather than what you're doing in the ring. That is just a buzz. You know what I mean? That's your time where you interact with them and everything like that. As soon as you're in the ring, it's kind of different. I don't know if everybody feels the same, but with me, it's like it feels like the crowd's not even there. Because as soon as the
Really?
ball, it's kind of strange, really. Walk in there, you know they're there. They're with you. You're with them. You know what I mean? And it's the hype, the buzz, and everything, and you're feeding off of them. But the moment the bell goes, it's like a tunnel vision. It all just blacks out, and it's just the guy in front of you, and that's it. It's just you and them. I don't even know the crowd's there until the last bell goes, and then it's like, oh, they're there again. Like, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's it's a strange one. I don't know if anybody feels that same way, but I can only speak for myself. But that is how it feels with me.
So was there ever a time of, I mean, obviously when you was first starting out in your professional wrestling career, when you'd have walked out, like the crowds wouldn't have been behind you like they are now.
Yeah.
So how is that in comparison? Because now, like the minute anybody mentions the lion, everybody's all like going crazy. Back in the early days, you wouldn't have had that.
No, no. I think it just it comes over time understanding how to get the crowds behind you. You know what I mean? It all comes with consistency and understanding how to pull that crowd in. There's more to it than just going out there and waving your hands and stuff like that, And it's also about the matches you put on. If you're putting on, good matches, the crowd appreciate it. That they do appreciate a good match these days, rather than just throwing yourself about. Psychology of matches and things like that. And I still get that sometimes. I'll go to different companies or overseas and stuff, and certain crowds haven't seen me for the first time. So then it's like I've got to go back to square one and make that impact. You know what I mean? And by the end of the match, usually I made a good example. So you
How
never.
important how important is your entrance music?
For me, it's one of the biggest things. I've got to be into the music I'm coming out to, because that's what fires me up. If you send me out there to something like Barbie Girl or Aqua, I'm going to get a bit like walk out there a bit cheesed off. Like, I'm not going to be focused or pumped. But going out to what I go out to, it's like, I feed off it. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's going nuts for it. I feel the music pumping through, and it just psychs you up that little bit more. So I always think that's very important. That's your part of your character. You know what I mean?
So if I swap your music on your next entrance, are you going to kill me?
I'll walk off. No, I'll go home.
I'll just sneak behind the box to Neve and be like, Neve, let's just put this on instead.
You'll do it to me now, won't you?
No, because when you're in that focus, as I've just said, you scare me. And to be fair, Neve said she can be terrified of you too when you're getting in focus. So, so
I've
I
heard
don't
me.
think we dare.
I don't know why. I'm the most lovable chap you'll ever meet.
Yeah, you are, but this I'm going to record it for you next time. Next time you're at a match and you're getting ready, I'm just going to sneak in and record you, just so you can see, because then you're going to be like, oh, I see. So let's go back to the documentary then. We touched on it earlier. Let's go back to it. What on earth possessed you to do that documentary?
To be honest, it came about so suddenly. As people who've seen the documentary, they'll understand more in my book. The documentary is just a short part of my life there, but the book talks about before and after. You know what I mean? So that's yet to come out. But when it all came about, because basically I was wrestling regularly. I had people following me beforehand. I was involved in a couple of films on movie sets and stuff like that. And I met a producer on a movie set, and I got quite pally with him, but we didn't speak for a while. He just followed my wrestling career, and then one day I just had a random message saying, "No, I noticed you're not about in wrestling. I mean, you're all right, like just random." And I haven't really spoke about it, but I was going through such a bad patch at the time. And, I just messaged him back one night. I was in my bedroom, just lying on my bed, and I just messaged him back saying, "Yeah, I'm not in a good place, mate, blah, blah, blah." Started opening up a bit to him, and he said, "Do you fancy meeting up for coffee?" So, I thought he was a really nice guy and that. So we went to Costa, as you do.
Other coffee shops are available.
All the coffee shops are available, yeah. But anyway, this specific time we went to Costa. We sat in there for a good 3 hours, and he was just talking to me about, mental health. And I was explaining what I'm going through at the time and stuff like that. And he basically said, will you get back into wrestling? I said, of course I will. I said, I just need to get my mindset. You know what I mean? At this moment in time, I can't do it. You know what I mean? I was in a real bad patch. And he put it through to me. He says, well, he's stopped doing the movie sort of stuff, but he's wants to start making documentaries. He already made a couple. One guy made a documentary on who was in the Guinness Book of Records and stuff, breaking world records, and he did another documentary. And then he followed me and he says, I want to do one on specifically on mental health. And he thought, you know, when I followed you in the past, Aaron, like you say, you're this big, strong character, but not many men talk these days. And he says, I think it would be brilliant if you did it, if we filmed you. But imagine if you go back into the ring and we can get, or you can get yourself back in a certain stage in your mindset, you know, how important it will be to a lot of people that are suffering out there. And he kept talking to me about it and I'm listening. And he said, you just might save someone's life one day. You know, that was his words. He says, you know, someone might take something from it and think, no, that's gave me inspiration. And that was enough for me to say, shake his hand and say, okay, I'll let you do it. Come and film me. You know what I mean? And I gave him permission. He had to get a few rights and everything, as you do. And then I think it was only a couple of weeks later, they just all started turning up at my house with camera crew and everything. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because, like I said, if you look at the documentary at the start, you'll notice I'm really gaunt in the face. I'm really pale. You can tell the difference between the start and the end. And he caught me at a time where I was mentally suffering really bad, and I lost a lot of weight, and I wasn't myself, and I was pale. I wasn't eating and stuff like that. So it caught some really good moments, to be fair.
The first time I watched that documentary,
yeah,
there's one bit specifically in it that had me sat crying my eyes out because it's not the Aaron that we all know and love. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it was the bit where you was getting really emotional and you was sat crying. That bit in the documentary broke me. Absolutely broke me. I was crying my eyes out because you was so brutally honest about your mental health at that time.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
a lot of people wouldn't have been, especially not knowing that it's going out there and it is going to be public. So a lot of people wouldn't have been as honest, but you just completely laid it all out there for everybody to see.
Yeah, yeah. I promised him I would. You know, that's one of the things he did say to me. If I do this, Alan, I just want you to make me one promise. Just be brutally honest. And you know, I'm a man of my word. If I promise somebody something, I will deliver. If it kills me, you know what I mean. And I said to him, I said, look, I'll do it. I'll promise you. I'll film me whatever. Just if it gets tough, then it gets tough. And yeah, I remember when they filmed that moment. It was quite hard, to be honest with you, because I'm not one for letting a lot of emotion out like that. But I just had to be honest, and it was just hard to keep it in. And you know, it touched quite a lot of people from what I can make out. I mean, I've been stopped in the streets and stuff like that, and one guy stopped me the other day, and he says, "Mate, I watched a documentary and that, and it made him cry." And this is another geezer who's, you know, a bit like myself and that, and he just said, I just sat there and I felt you. You know what I mean? And it literally drew tears to his eyes. Quite a few people said it, to be fair, and I thought, you know, I thought when it was coming out, I thought, is it good? Is it not? I don't know. It is what it is. I suppose because I look at it back and it's me. I can't watch it like other people can.
And it's for you because you're in such a different position now to what you was when that was made, obviously.
Yeah.
I suppose it is quite hard looking back at it and watching it and I guess reliving those moments that you worked so hard to come away from.
To be honest, Gemma, I won't watch it back.
Really?
I watched it once all the way through when it made a cinema. A couple of select outdoor cinemas and that. I watched it, but I won't watch it back since. Never will.
It was hard. It was hard for me to watch because that's not all I wanted to do was give you a hug. And it
Oh,
was
bless
like the first time I watched it, honestly, it was really, I've watched it again today, but it
you.
didn't, today weren't like, I wasn't, I wanted to cry again, but I weren't like, oh, I need to give him a hug, probably because I'd spoken to you 10 minutes before, you know? So I was like, he's all right. I know he is. I've just spoke to him. But it's heartbreaking. It's because you are such a strong man to see you a shell of a person.
Mm, mm. I think looking back now, Gemma, I'm just the way I can put it to anybody. I'm just a human being. You know what I mean? You know, there's no shame in it. I have no shame in it at all. I've met loads of people that are suffering ever since. You know, I've had quite a few people contact me asking, you know, what's best advice you can give. You know, because I've seen you come out the other end and that, and I just say, mate, just keep going forward. You know, it might be a bad time, but surely it can't last forever. You know, whatever it is you're going through, if you seek help, it will not last forever. You've got to find a way. You'll find ways of coping. I believe that, but you've got to stick with it. I've lost friends personally through mental health. They're no longer with us today. And I've said it all along, you know, you can reach real proper deep depths and that, but you know, if you can just fight and grit your teeth and somehow make your way through it with support, you definitely need support. You know what I mean? That's a massive factor in coming out the other end. But if you do, your life can change. And you know, I'm no longer like I was. You know what I mean? I'm in a good place now. I'm happy. I still have my dips. Don't get me wrong. I
Who
still dip
doesn't?
low. Yeah. I don't think it ever fully goes away. You just learn how to cope. You know when it's. I know when it's coming now. When I start feeling a bit, what is it? And I know how to deal with it a bit better. But I won't lie. You know, I'd counselling and everything, and it made me realise a lot about myself and how to cope, and really why I tend to get depressed and for the reasons I did and that. And yeah, I've not told many people this, but you know, this is quite exclusive, really. But it's in my book. But when I was having counselling, that they basically were saying to me, you know, you it's basically PTSD. What you know, push comes to shove, like. And they said, "Do you want us to go forward and we'll get like aim towards diagnosis, whatever?" And I refused it. I said no. You know, I said no. I don't need that. If that is what I am, that is what I've got. Then I understand that 100%. You know what I mean? But I don't want, as a, you know, you've told me if that's what it is, I kind of believe it. And to be fair, that's nothing against people that do, because I understand people need to deal with things their own way, and I totally respect that 100%. Whatever works for everyone else, for me, for my own mindset, it's like I think it's like I'm not going to let that define who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand that's what it is. I understand that's what I have to cope with, but that is not who Aaron is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I had to move and focus on other things. But I totally respect and understand that people deal with things in different ways. And to some people, it helps them massively. And if that is the case, I say, go and do it. If that's going to help, then I'll stand behind you 100%.
But you
But
knew that
not,
having that diagnosis wouldn't make any impact on how you went forward.
no, it wasn't going to change the way I took my steps. You know what I mean? I
No.
kind of knew what I had to do. So I just got on with it, if that makes
How
sense.
important is the support network?
Very important. If it weren't for certain people, I wouldn't be here today, Gemma. And that's just me being honest with you. You know, if it weren't for the support I had, it wouldn't be, I probably wouldn't be doing this live feed now. If I'm being brutally honest with
That's
you, you know
true,
what I
isn't
mean?
it?
It's scary, really. But
It really is.
yeah, but no, you know, never underestimate the power of prayer. You know what I mean? And the friends that you've got, true friends. You know, I've gone through some times where I've had people who are supposed to have been friends who kind of didn't really was around when I needed them, but I had a select few who really stepped forward and they looked after me. And a lot of them didn't let me out of the sight. And yeah, truly thankful for that. And they're the sort of people you need around you. You know what I mean? So yeah.
But yeah, definitely. So your mum and dad, bless the little
Mm.
hearts. They're 21 plus VAT at the moment, aren't they? And they
Yeah.
still come to so many of your matches. It is unreal.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They're my biggest fans. They really are. They
They,
always have been.
they are
Always.
amazing. Your dad said to me, when was we last at Happy Days? recently. So anyway, the other week when I see your dad said to me, he said, Aaron got his love of wrestling from me because I've been wrestling for years.
Is that what I told you, was it?
And I looked at him and I went, no, you what? Because I call your dad and your mum because it's just easier. And I was like, no, you haven't, Dad. You weren't a wrestler. And he sat there and he went to me, yes, I was. I've been wrestling mum for years. I was like, he really had me believing that he'd been a wrestler as well. At first, I was like, has he? Have I missed that one? But he was like, I've been wrestling mum for years. Oh,
He's a comedian, isn't he? Popper, yeah. It's like,
honestly. But yeah, so I mean, to be fair to them, they do. They come and they watch and they cheer you on, and it's so lovely to watch.
yeah,
I'm
no,
just checking
it's
the
great to have
comments,
him there.
sorry. I'm not being rude. I'm just checking the comments just to see if there's any questions that need asking now.
Yeah, go for it.
Bobby, I'll get to yours in a minute because we're getting onto that. Don't worry. Brent, good question. So Brent Wilkinson wants to know, what is your worst ever match you've had?
Worst ever match. I don't mean this in no negative way. You know, I've had 20 years is a lot of matches, to be fair. And I've had some matches and I've had some really good ones and some ones that wasn't so great over the years. I'd have to say Mikey Andrews, if I'm being honest. A guy who I wrestled about a year or so ago. It wasn't my greatest of matches, you know what I mean? But then again, you're going to have occasional matches now and again. I've had a few where it wasn't too good, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's just one of them things. You learn from mistakes and you keep moving forward, you know what I mean? You don't dwell on things. You just keep stepping ahead. My first ever match was dreadful. My first ever match. Singles match, should I say, solo. I was absolutely terrible. I think my nerves got the better of me. Yeah, that's one I wouldn't like to look back on. No fault of the guy I was in the ring with. That was me. You know, I was wrestling a guy called 5-Star Flash. And the moment the bell went, I just froze. I went into an ice block, like, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing? And he was like, we've got to wrestle. I'm like, what? And I just, yeah, that was bad. I've had some rough matches over the years where I'd rather not talk about them, but yeah, one last year after days was
Swiftly
pretty.
moving on from that one then. So let's go straight into, so that was your worst match. What's been your best match to date?
Yeah, again, that's a tough one. My best match to date. Do you know what? I've had so many special matches for their own reasons. I can't nail my favourite match, but I could nail about 5 matches that really stay in my mind. 5
Go with the
names.
5 then.
First match, Aaron Frost, a guy I used to wrestle years ago. We always just had really good chemistry in the ring. You know what I mean? We both just, the moment the bell went, I think we got match of the year a couple of times. It was just great chemistry, you know what I mean? But, you know, in the long run, he became a great friend as well. And we used to work the doors together as well later on down the line and stuff like that. And yeah. So we always had that really good thing about when we both stepped through them ropes, we just bang, you know what I mean? It was just magic. We put on some really good stuff. Brad Slayer, another great wrestler. I've had some really good matches with in the past. Demolition Dave Davis, you know, super heavyweight, but he was amazing. So many matches I've had altogether. There's loads that stand out to me, you know, moments where I've been in the ring with guys who I idolized when I was younger, and then next minute I'm in the ring with them or tagging with them and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I used to watch them on the telly. So that was all magical for their own reasons. But yeah, I don't know. I could go on all day. I had a great match in Germany last month. That was a really good match. Apu. The one in Germany where I become the undisputed heavyweight champion, that was special for its own reasons. There was just so many matches. And to be honest with you, it's hard to me nail one. It really is. Steve Sykes, that meant a lot. That match, I really enjoyed that match for what, for the reasons of the 18 years behind it and going in there.
Well,
even though
while you're touching on that, Bobby wanted to know what actually got the Sykes feud started in the first place. So while we're on this subject of Sykes, you may as well just quickly address that too.
Sykes, we never really liked each other many years ago. I think egos got in the way. Two young guys wanted to prove themselves, just could not get along. But as the story goes, you get a bit older, you get a bit wiser, and you think, you know what, there's no reason to hate each other the way we did or dislike each other the way we did. And we met up and we both had a few truths set aside, and we both felt as though we deserved to go back in the ring and just do one more. You know what I mean? Now that we're both, like more matured as wrestlers, more matured as individuals, as human beings. And I just thought it would be special to share the ring with him one more time after all these years. And, that was an honor. And to be honest with you, Sykes brought out the best in me. Sykes will turn around and say, he had a lot of time out the ring, but he really did bring out the best in me that night, because before that night, I wasn't too well. I ain't gonna lie. I was really ill. And I still turned up. But like I say, it doesn't matter what state you're in. Being a professional is performing no matter how you feel. And the moment I stepped through them ropes, it's just like switch, bang. And we just went. And he really brought out the best in me again that night. And, there was a moment we shared at the end of that match, and it was just like every little thing we went through, every little bit of hatred, everything just all went, you know what I mean? And we gave each other a bit of respect, a bit of a hug. And it was just like, right, let's just get along now. Let's put everything behind us properly now and just enjoy what we've just done and reap in the moment,
Yeah, and you did. It was amazing. So literally, you think that the whole thing started. I mean, to be fair, Sykes left you in the middle of a tag match for you to get your backside whooped. So, that didn't help matters, did it? But you're saying, in answer to Bobby's question, that the feud actually started because you was both young and it was egos. So is that why in LWP Academy, one of your rules is that there is no egos?
No, that isn't the reason. I just truly believe that the way I look at it, Gemma, is we all want to do the same thing. Whoever walks through doors into any sort of wrestling academy, they're there for a reason. Now, the truth being, and I'll say this to everybody in the academy: look around you. I'll be like, just not everybody's going to stay, and I respect that and accept that. It's tough. It really is tough, but some will climb the ladder and some will do really well. But it's also easy when you start doing so well to get lost to where you started. You know what I mean? Egos can creep in. It is one of them sports, I suppose you need a bit of an ego. I guess you do, but keep yourself grounded. Keep your feet on the ground. You know what I mean? And it's just one thing I say to everybody, you come through this door, respect one another. You're all here for the same reasons, and help each other out, And I just think that's massively important. If I train anybody or I do a seminar, I'll say to students, one of the first things I say is, I just say who I am, what I've done, a few things. I'll be like, wrestling as long as I have. And I'll say to them, does any of you lot think you're better than me? And straight away, not one hand goes up. And I'll say, okay, why? I say, because at the end of the day, you go back in time, I was standing right where you are. The only thing I've got on them is years. But do you know what I mean? So personally, I'll never turn around to anyone and say, I'm not better than you. I think that's a load of rubbish. The only thing I've got is experience, which if you stick at this, you'll have the same as me in 20 years' time.
Right.
Oh,
let's talk experience then. So what do you class as experience? Because I was watching a podcast recently, and I heard this statement I've been watching wrestling for X amount of years, therefore I've got that amount of experience. To me, that's not experience, because to gain the experience, you have to be in the ring doing it, surely. So what do you, as a wrestler, count as experience?
Wait, watching, as in just watching.
As in on TV or at a show? Yeah, watching. Because I did comment
Okay.
that, well, if that's the case, then I'm like 30 odd years in. Do you know what I mean? I'm amazing. I'm coming into that ring next time you've got a show on, and I'm going to whoop somebody's backside. But in reality, I'd get in
Yeah.
the ring and I'd go, ah, and I'd run
Yeah. Yeah.
away.
Yeah. 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 No, I wouldn't look at that like that at all. I don't know who would have said that, but I mean, no. We all start off as fans. That's why we do it. We all start off as fans. You know what I mean? But being a fan watching and then going in there and doing it are two totally different things. And you'll realize when you come to academy or you start training for wrestling, it will separate the two eventually, because fans come thinking they can be wrestlers, but then when it starts getting a bit tough, and believe me, it does get tough,
Oh,
they go.
I agree.
And that's the difference between somebody that's got it deep down in them to somebody that just wants to give it a try. You know what I mean? And believe they are. Is you've got to want it. To say I've watched something for so many years doesn't mean nothing. You could watch uh, things for years and study it, but till you're actually getting experience in that ring and you're going on with different sort of characters, different types of wrestlers, there's all different types, till you've got some really good experience and you keep on going forward with that. That is what I class experience,
But
so
that's sort of where I went with it. But then I thought, am I just thinking at this differently? But no, if you're saying that, then I was obviously on the right lines with sitting there
yeah.
going,
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can watch it, but I watch it from a different perspective now. You know what I mean?
"No,
Like I say, when I watched it when I first started, I was still a fan, if I'm being honest. But I was never going to get experience just watching and listening to anybody, or if even when I went training and people were saying to me, "This is how you do this," I wouldn't class that as great experience. That was a way to step forward and learn certain things, but going in there and doing it live professionally in front of live crowds, in front of cameras, in front of somebody, now's your time to be thrown around and put it to practice. But you can have as much training as you want, but till you're actually in there, that is when your real experience starts to start the journey starts. You know what I
okay,
mean? And I personally think these days, I'd say give it a good 10 years to where you could look back and think, okay, I'm feeling my feet here now. I know what I'm capable of. I know how I can adapt. Some people might be slightly quicker, but me personally, on a personal perspective, I'd say a good 10 years. I felt at 15 years, I'd say, where I think, no, I'm happy to do whatever now. I can go in with any style and this and that and just adapt and stuff like that to the best I know how. But the only way you're going to get that is actually going through them ropes time after time after time after time after time again, and keep going forward.
okay,
Yeah,
good. Thank you for that. It
yeah,
bugged me at the time, so I just wanted to touch on it.
yeah.
So between you and Sabrice,
Mm,
LWP, the academy, and the promotions company was born.
yeah.
Um, when I spoke to Sabrice, we went into all the ins and outs about it and where it all came from and everything like that. Um, but literally, you guys, especially with the academy side of things here, you guys are making little kids' dreams come true. How does
Mm.
that make you feel?
Prouder than I've ever been, if I'm honest. We've got some trainees now, juniors even, and they're doing so well. And I never tell them, because I don't like to just keep saying how happy I am doing what they're doing. We've got some really good guys coming through. James Bentley, such a
Who?
lovely James Bentley.
Who? Sorry,
Yeah,
James. He's in the chat room, by the way. Hi,
Oh,
James.
is he? Yeah. He's, he's such a humble guy and his feet's on the ground and he's doing so well. We've got Craig McIntosh, who's now stepping forward and he's doing, he's soon on his way overseas and stuff. And we got up and coming like Hound Dog, who's getting a good reaction. And, when I sit there and I watch them and I watch how people's reacting and how good they're developing, I just think, it's such an honor to see.
And
You know
that's
what I mean?
in what, 2 years or some less than, but
So
in
yeah,
2 years, and they're being asked to go overseas.
yeah. James Bentley, he was in Germany last month with myself. He's now been asked to come back to 3 different promotions in Germany. Impressed them that much in such a short space of time, and is like, we want him back over here. And I can't give too much compliments to some of these guys because I like to keep them wanting it more. You
Oh,
know
they've
what I
got to
mean?
stay grounded.
Yeah. But deep down, I'm over the moon for him. I really am, and I just
And the
think, God,
kids,
go out there and, yeah. And
the
the
kids
kids,
class, phenomenal. I'm telling
yeah,
you, like the Hound Dogs, the James Bentleys, the Craig McIntoshes need to watch out because these kids are coming through
yeah, they are, and
and
some of them
they're
really.
phenomenal.
Yeah, some of them are really good. They're doing great, and give them a few years, and they'll be the one stepping through them ropes, and we'll be stepping out, and it's like that. Now's your time to shine. Go out there and make it happen. But we've got some really good juniors coming through, and to be fair, one of them demonstrated last year. I can't say his name because I've not spoke to his mum for any permission or anything, but
Yeah.
one of them came in, and he's just he did really well. He held his own and stuff at a young age and showing demonstrations. And then we've got other juniors there. You just watch them in the ring and the effort they put in is just so good, but they're so respectful as well. Good kids,
And
good
it's not
kids.
just the
Really.
effort that they put in at the training school, neither, is it? Because we know that got to be careful what we say, obviously, because we don't want any parents complaining. But those kids actually go home and do homework as well, whether that be the sit-up challenge, the squat challenge. Like they always have some sort of homework that they need to go and they need to work on in their own time as well. So not just in the gym.
Yeah, no, I'll give them all sorts of homework, and the parents love me for it. I'll tell them, right, I'll tell them straight, you got to respect me. And that's how it is. I tell him, I say, right, today I want you to go home and wash mum and dad's car, and I want photo evidence that you've done it. And then the parents send me evidence of washing the car, they're hoovering up, or they're doing the dishes and things like that. And there's a reason why I do it, because yet again, and I've seen it, we've had it ourselves. We've had people come in who have come in and have not lasted very long because of egos.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to teach them from a young age to honor, respect, and work hard. And even if it's just telling them to go out and clean the mum's living room, get the Hoover out, and stuff like that, it's still things that are showing me that they're willing to do what their coach tells them. They're willing to do the bad side of things, and if they're willing to do that sort of thing, it will keep them grounded. It sounds weird, but it does. And I've even had parents say, thanks for that, because I could never get them to do it, but they'll listen to you. But I'm the big bad wolf sometimes, or lion, whatever you want to say. But yeah, we do kind of prepare them a little bit. It's not all roses, and sometimes you have to do the bad crap side of jobs and stuff like that in order to get noticed. And if they're used to doing certain things and just say, yeah, I'll crack on. You know what I mean?
I
It
mean,
does go a long way.
you do even have some juniors that will come along and help set up the ring and put down the ring
Yeah,
after shows as well. Do you know what I mean? If that
yeah.
doesn't show dedication, then I don't know what will.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we don't let them do the heavy sort of stuff, but like they'll come and help out and stuff like that. The parents will bring them, and it just gets them into that zone. That they're willing to understand that it's not just a case of stepping through the ropes and expecting to be a professional straight away. I tell them all, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I tell them all, there's going to be times where you're going to question it. There's going to be times where you're going to get low points and that. But, the ones that you look up to, if you look at their stories, they've been on their knees, but they found a way to get back up. And that's where they're really, the strong in the character's got to come in.
Do you think it's harder to train adults or the kids? Because I know from experience, I mean, I did one session, I obviously had to stop for health reasons, but I did one session and I know that the mind monkeys in my head was going crazy. Like, don't do that, you're going to hurt yourself. Don't do that, you're going to hurt yourself. Whereas the kids don't really have fear, do they? So is it easier to train the adults or the kids?
Easier to train the kids. It is, yeah. I mean, they all show respect and they're all humble. Most the ones that are gone are the ones that wasn't. That's all I'm going to say on that. We get rid
Absolutely.
any egos or stuff like that. They're gone, not coming back. Stuff we don't have it. You know what I mean? It's not one of them sports we have. But they do. They so polite. They're so humble. They show a lot of respect and they listen and they will get on with things. And they do feel bad when they don't get it right, which is still an ongoing process. I tell them, look, do not feel bad. You're here. You're training. This is where you're learning, but you will not learn fully till you start getting in there properly. And but yeah, the kids are great. They're great. They really
They
are.
really are. They're phenomenal at what they do. It amazes me every time. So before we go on to what we've got coming up,
Yeah.
I just feel like I can't really speak to you, Aaron, and have a chat with you without touching on. You did mention it earlier slightly, but your acting and singing career.
Nah, I did a bit of acting. That was funny how that came about. Actually, I just got bumped into one day. I was a doorman at the time, and I was a big guy at the time, big lad, and I bumped into a guy who was to do with. He was involved in the Harry Potter films. He was over, and he'd come to the club, and I just got talking to him. He said, "You keep yourself fit, obviously looking." And I said, "Yeah, we've got a good chat tonight." I said, "I wrestle and all that," and we had a really good chat. He goes, "Oh, do you fancy exchanging numbers? We'll keep in touch." So I said, "Yeah, sure." So we exchanged numbers, and I got a message the next day saying, "Are you at the club tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." He says, "I'll pop and see you." I was like, "Oh, nice one, pretty sweet." And he says, "You ever thought about acting, Aaron?" I said, "Oh, no, not really." I says, "But, if I ever got thrown my way, I'd have a laugh with it and a bit of fun." Um, and then through that, I ended up in a short film, which another director was in, that ended up getting me in a TV film, which then led into a British film, which led into a British film that actually did quite all right. And then I was getting into other bits and bobs, and I was just like, but to me, it was never a passion. That it was just something me having fun. But I don't know. They all said I had something to offer it, we're like the next Jason Statham, Vin Diesel sort of character. You know what I mean? But
And with a song to match.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So yeah, no, I enjoy it. I did enjoy it. Well, last year I met some pretty cool actors as well over the times I was doing it. The biggest mistake I ever made, big mistake. I got a couple of agents, and one of them gave me a call and they said, "Aaron, Game of Thrones wants to see you." Yeah, it was for season 6. I think it was season 6. No, I never watched it at the time. It wasn't really my sort of thing. I'm not really into fantasy stuff that much. But anyway, Game of Thrones rang me and they said, "Look, they've gone through your profile, my agent, sorry, and they specifically asking you and 2 other people to go for this audition." I think it was a couple of other people. I said, "All right," and I said, "What's it for?" For some sort of Persian warrior character who's quite well known in it, or I didn't know. I was just like, oh, okay. And my partner, who I was with at the time, was like, "You're crazy. You should go for it." But I wasn't in the right mind space. So I just said, "I can't. I'm away." I wasn't away. You know what I mean? But I said, "I can't make this one." And it was a time where I wasn't that great or going through battle, and I put the phone down and I said, "What?" And they never let me live that one down. It's like, do you realise what you're asking here? You just don't know your luck here. They're really asking to see you in London and stuff. And yeah, I was just like, I didn't go, but who knows if I
You
did.
donkey.
Yeah, it was for a good
Well,
character
to be
as well.
fair, they say that everything happens for a reason, right? So there's a reason why you didn't take it, and there's a reason why you are where you are now. So
Yeah. I wish I
We'll
took
just go
it.
with that. We'll just
But,
go
you
with
know,
that. So with you, I missed this off earlier when we was talking about the academy. So you don't just train wrestlers in the academy, do you? You also train the refs.
yeah, yeah, we're open to everything. Referees, referees are the most important thing in a match. And without referees, you ain't got no match. Gets a bit chaotic. And yeah, we have referees come through. We've got a few training, and it's not easy being a referee. It really isn't. To have that authority in the ring
I
and
mean, let's
to
let's let's just touch. I'm sure she won't mind. I'm really sorry. I know you're watching, but Tracy is in the chat room, and she is your head ref. And she is phenomenal at what she does.
she's a great woman, absolutely amazing woman. She probably won't mind me saying, but Tracy, when she first came about, her confidence wasn't as high as they are now. You know what I mean? And I kind of relate to that. And she found it overwhelming at first, but now she comes, she's smiling, she gets stuck in, and she's really involved in it. And it's like I said, you come through the door, it doesn't matter what you do, you come through the door, you're not just going to get in there and get on with it like you've been doing it for a long time. Yet again, experience. It's all right watching it and it's all right listening to it, but till you're in there doing it for a good length of time and you're doing it regular, you will pick it up, whether it's wrestling, whether it's refereeing, whether it's ring announcing. You know what I mean? You will eventually get better and better as your confidence grows and experience grows. But she's doing really well. She's doing really well.
Do you know?
Like
Do you
any
know what surprises me is when because I don't know why I didn't expect it, but when I was first like coming backstage and everybody was coming out the ring, and one of the first things that you wrestlers do when you come out the ring is you thank that ref.
yeah,
And like the respect, I'm picking on Tracy a bit here. Sorry, Tracy, please forgive me. But the respect that she's got from all of the wrestlers is
mm-hmm.
phenomenal. And
Yeah.
that's all because she don't take no crap.
Yeah, she's good at making cheesecake as well. I think she's won a few hearts for that one. She always brings a few cheese. She's good at baking. She's really good at baking. And to be fair, I've had a few of her cheesecakes, and she's got a bit of a reputation now of cheesecakes backstage. And she's won a
She
lot of.
has.
They always say keto man's arts in the kitchen, right? All the lads love her because they're like, "Is Tracy about?" Why? Because I know she makes a banging cheesecake, and that's the first thing that they come after the match. Like, but joking aside, she's gained respect off so many wrestlers, and not just LWP trainees going forward. Some professional wrestlers from all over. They're all getting to know Tracy, and they all got a good bond with her. I'm proud of her. I really am. She's a great woman. She's an honest, humble woman, and she's got a great family, and she's doing good. She's doing really good.
She really is. She really is. That respect did shock me because I don't think I was quite expecting that. But I also don't think that people realise that, if they come along to the academy because they want to wrestle, but wrestling's not quite for them,
Mm.
that there is other options there as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we've made so many good friends. You know what I mean? Not just like say wrestlers or referees. Even we've made friends who now do the sound tech. Just get involved in the backstage kind of things and stuff like that. And I suppose it's just being a part of something. People love being a part of something. Standing for something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I always say in a wrestling show, the fans only see the main event or the guys that they're coming to watch. They don't see that without the people around it, that ain't going to hold up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's a good team effort. And, when you be a part of LWP, regardless of what it might be, whether you're the main event of a big show or you're just a person taking tickets on the door, you're just as important. You know what I mean? And that's the way LWP operates. You know what I mean? It's you're part of what we call a big family feel. You know what I
And
mean?
it's
And
true. It really is. It really
yeah,
is like a family.
yeah,
I don't hesitate, and I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure everybody that plays a part in LWP at some point or another would all say the same. Like if I was in an issue and I needed some help, I know that I could pick up my phone and contact any one of you.
Yeah, anytime of the day. You know, we're here for anybody. You know what I mean? Our arms are always open, and to anybody, pretty much anybody. There's
Within
one or
reason.
two within reason, yeah. But you know, yeah, we just like to get on with everybody. You know, there's no bad vibes here. You know what I mean?
No.
And if we send them, they don't last long.
No, right. So the next stop is Willesby Woods, Grimsby for the Family Fun Day on the 1st of May. That's right, in it. What can
Yeah.
we expect on that day?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I've never done it there. LWP is there for the first. LWP was contacted, and when I say LWP, let me just get one thing right. It is not me. Sabrice is the boss. She deals with everything. I'm just a wrestler. You know what I mean? There's a bit of confusion with that, which is another story how LWP came about. But you know, I said until that day comes, I hang my boots up. She's in charge. You know what I mean? I don't want to know. I really do not want to know. I'll happily give advice and I'll happily help, but I do not want to know. That's it. LWP's her baby, not mine. I'm just a wrestler to hang my boots up. But yeah, you know, she was and ahhing. She says, I've been contacted by this big event that's going off at Grimsby. I'm taking it. I was like, oh, are you? I was like, yeah, and you're on it.
Yeah,
I was
and
like,
you're on
oh,
that.
yeah, and you're
I mean,
wrestling
to be
so and so.
fair, I weren't asking you because I thought that you was like partnership with Sabrice. I was asking you because you live with her, so you know she's got to have
Yeah,
said something.
yeah. I know quite a bit that goes on because she would just go in. No, I think this should happen. I think that should do this, do that. You know, it's quite interesting, really, because Sabrice didn't even know what wrestling was till she met me,
I know, okay.
and how LWP came about was quite interesting because I thought it really does not make any sense, but I like it. Let's go for it. Like, you know what I mean? And we're here. You know what I mean? If you want to know that story, that's I sat in the bathtub having
We
a
know.
bath.
We
You know,
know.
dear.
Yeah.
And I was
Go
chilling
back
out.
to
And,
episode 1. We know all
yeah,
this.
and I was wrestling for another company for quite some time, and that sort of didn't work out well, which is a totally different story in itself. Um, and I just thought, well, what do I do now? I don't, you know, I still wrestle for other companies, but I just sat there and thought, what do I do now? I don't really want to let it all go to waste. She goes, well, why don't you start your own company then? And I was like, you what? And she's like, yeah. I said, no, I can't. I'm a wrestler. And she goes, well, I'll tell you what, I'll start my own company and you give me an hand if I need to, but we'll keep you involved. You know, give you something to focus on because I always need to focus me. I was like, nah, that can't work. And I'm sat there, I'm thinking, I'm like, could it? So I sat there, I said, right, I put on my phone on a Facebook. I said, if I was to start a wrestling training academy, would anybody be interested? Anyway, the phone's going. And I thought, do you know what? By that time, later on that night, ended up ordering a ring. And it all started from there, really. And I was like, so Reece, you're in charge now. You've done it now, you know. And she's
And
took
to
it
be
with.
fair to her, she's done amazing.
She has. And do you know what? Everybody who wrestles for LWP, and even everybody that don't, she goes to Germany, she goes other promotions and that, and all the promoters love her. I don't know what it is. She's like a magnet. They all love her. She talks to them more than I do. You know, and I'll see her on the phone. I'm like, who are you talking to now? She goes, I'm just on the phone to promoting so and so or so and so. And she's just so good with it. And I think, do you know what? It's amazing how someone don't know nothing about it, but she can click with everybody so well. And yeah, she's really grabbed the bull by the horns and she's really riding it well. And she's got so much respect, not just off myself, but off all the other wrestlers as well. And it's a blessing to see. And she's really good at that. But she's a good person in general, isn't she? You know what I mean? You can't not like Sabrice. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Living
think
with
there's
us.
anybody. No, I don't think there's anybody that would dislike her at all. But just so as you know, she has popped into the chat just to let you know that even when you retire, she will still be the boss then. So don't get no ideas.
Yeah, she will. Yeah. I know she's watching now, so I'll big her up as much as I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah,
Wait
that's
till
it. Quick.
she's
Right, so last question, because we've been waffling for like nearly an hour and 10 minutes. So we'll make this the last question, unless there's any in the chat that I've missed. I don't think I have. No, I don't. I'm sure I haven't. So your next tag match is Annihilation.
Yeah.
With CW Davis.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind, you actually have a singles match with CW Davis after that.
Yeah, bang in the middle of the summer. We're
Is
signing
this
a
going to end up
contract.
another Sykes moment?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what to expect. There's a bit of anticipation there. I like the lad. I've got a lot of respect for him. But there's that bit of anticipation there. We're both, how do I put this? To look at when we're both in shape to the best we can be in, we're both quite intense. And a couple of fans was saying they'd love to see me and him go toe to toe. I think that grew a bit of attention, and the tension was there. And then all of a sudden, he got into his head. He wanted to just go for it. And then, he came out and he basically asked me if I want to go one-on-one, because that's just one thing he wants to tick off his box. And to be honest with you, how could I say no? You know what I mean? He's a great athlete. And I just think, you know what, the reason I do this is to step in the ring with guys like him. So, the respect's there. But then at the same time, we've got to keep that respect kind of to the side, because we are going toe to toe in the summer.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit worried about this one. I'm thinking, is it going to be another Sykesy moment where one of you just bogs off and leaves the other taking a beating? Or are you two going to end up like McIntosh did with Bentley when McIntosh turned on Bentley in the ring? I was like, I don't know how this is going to go.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I do question it with Fabrice and the people involved, like why they put me and him together to wrestle the Pitbull. I think maybe it's just to build that tension to keep us under control, but is it going to be kept under control? That's a different thing. I've got respect for him. If he keeps himself to himself and he tags well and just gets on with a match, and we'll get on with it. But if he steps out of line, I've got no problem in throwing a punch.
Oh.
We'll see.
Well, I'm not standing anywhere near the ring on that one. That is for sure.
But to be honest, we've got to stay focused. I'll say we've got to stay focused, because the Pitbulls are big lads. You know what I mean? It's,
Well, I was speaking to them last week, and as far as they're concerned, they're taking it.
Oh, good luck to them. That's you've got to have that attitude. That's what I've. If that's what they believe, that's what they believe. But I believe totally different. So we'll see. But
there was one question actually that I forgot to ask. Somebody had put in the chat. I can't find it now, but I remember seeing it. Somebody had asked if you've got any plans to go back to Boston again.
Yeah. Boston, it was a good show there last time. Yeah. We haven't confirmed on a date yet, but we'd like to go back to Boston. Lovely place, the Gliderdrome. Really enjoyed it there. We're really friendly with the owners of the place and that, and he enjoyed having us there and that. And it's definitely something we're going to be looking at. And yeah, it's I can't say we will. As of when, we don't know. Maybe Wrestle War 2. We'll see.
I'll speak to Fabrice for that one, shall I?
Yeah, she's the best person to talk to with that. I know she's mentioned it a couple of times and that. So I'll just focus on what's in front of me. And right now, we've got Annihilation coming up, and that's always a great show. Always a great show at the Sun Castle. I wrestled there 18 years ago, and it's still got the same vibe as it did back then. So
I don't think it matters. No disrespect to any of the locations, because all of the locations are phenomenal. But personally, I don't think it matters where you are. I think LWP just put on a fantastic show. So
they do. They really do. Every single wrestler. I'll say it. I'll say it right now. Every single wrestler that is part of LWP are highly appreciated.
Yeah.
Highly appreciated. Without every single part of the puzzle, there ain't no LWP, like I said. And everybody gives 110%. you can't say nobody does, and that is why LWP's got the reputation it has. That's why LWP's lifting high like it is. You know what I mean? That's why LWP's getting respect off other companies and stuff, and they all wanting to be a part of LWP and mix together and stuff like that. And it's down to everybody that's involved. Like I said, the wrestlers, the refs, the music techs, the backstage interviewers, the MCs, it all pulls in well. The lady that makes the cheesecakes, you know what I mean? And Tracy. But yeah, no, it's definitely doing well. 2 years in nearly, and it's doing great.
Aaron, thank you so much for chatting with me tonight.
You're absolutely welcome, Gemma. Thanks for having me.
I will speak to you shortly.
See you later, Gemma.
For everybody that's joined us tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next week. Watch out for the Facebook page to find out who is on next week.